90% of influencers and gurus scammed their way to legitimacy. They paid for podcasts, they paid for followers, they paid for friends, paid for clout. Clout is now an anti-credential. If somebody looks disingenuous, they probably are.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Lowkey Genius Podcast, where we talk about the story behind every podcast. I'm your host, Jovel Delima, and today I have a special guest, Jordan Paris, the host of the Building Freedom Podcast, as an entrepreneur and an author featured in Forbes, TEDx, Entrepreneur, and other major publications. So, Jordan, welcome. I'm excited to talk more about your story.
Yeah, thanks, man. Thank you for the invitation. Yeah.
Yeah, and also I appreciate you for being with me today. Can you share with us when did you start doing podcast and how old are you? Because as I'm looking right now, I'm looking at you right now. You are very young.
How young do you think I am? How young or old do you think I am? Curious.
I think you are just starting out your 30s.
Starting at my 30s?
Yes.
Yeah, so I started when it was 2018. It was April of 2018. And I was 21 years old, I believe. No, it doesn't seem right. I
Wow.
must have been
So you're
20
still in
years
your
old.
20s.
Yeah, I am.
Oh
Yeah,
wow.
I'm 27. That doesn't really make sense. Maybe I swear I started. Yeah, no, I was 20. I was turning 21 in 6 months. Yeah.
Wow.
So I was 20. Mm-hmm.
And in your 20, did you finish college when you were starting out?
I did. Yeah. I went to college, got out with a degree in exactly 4 years in entrepreneurship. A lot of people think, oh, wow, especially older folk, they're like, wow, you could get a degree in that now. Yeah, it was a really, really good program that they had at Florida Gulf Coast University. They put a lot of effort and energy into that track, into that program, and it was really well done. Pitch competitions, like I won a pitch competition once, and I got like $3,000 from my university, which was like cool, so cool.
Yes.
Yeah, like it was a really good program. I actually got stuff out of it and took some good classes, like this one on creativity that I particularly enjoyed, and still have the book. And I referenced that book in exercise. I did a few exercises in that book as recently as this time last year, and I drew it out on like a big oversized piece of paper, and yeah, because I was like trying to solve this. I was trying to solve this problem, and I just that I'd been like trying to crack away at for so many years in my business, and I was just like, oh man, I really need to get outside my normal ways of thinking, and I remembered that book is a really like just way it provides really good exercises to make connect dots that you wouldn't ordinarily connect. It's called Cracking
Yes.
Creativity by Michael Michalko. And it's a good book. Yeah, I still use it.
Okay,
So yeah,
that's
I went
is
to school.
yeah, that's great. And me, I didn't get to school because of the pandemic. And I guess your age is like you are starting out your 30s. You know why? Because as I check your background, you
Yeah,
have a
I know
lot
why.
of
I know why.
achievements,
Yeah, I know.
and it's like me. I am always look at as 30 years old because of how I talk and also how
Sure.
I act in front of other
Yeah.
people. I didn't fin-
How you carry yourself.
yes, and I I didn't finish college. I am studying
Mm,
engineering when pandemic
mm.
hit
What
2019.
kind of engineering?
Civil engineering.
Okay.
Yes, and when pandemic hit, I was in my second year. Since we have to homeschool, I dropped out right away. My parents didn't know. They still paid
Hmm.
the tuition, and I start networking
Yeah,
because I
amazing.
yes, I started networking 3 years in networking, earn I didn't know if it's much, but I make a lot, make decent money in networking. But did well. I started my own business, and
Yeah.
a lot happened, and I am just like
Yeah.
19 years old that
Mm,
time. And like,
yeah.
what happened to
Wow.
you after you graduate is 2018, right? And pandemic hit. How does that affect your, your goals and your plan?
Yeah. Well, I just want to say, I mean, that's a really commendable decision that you made. It sounds like a much more fulfilling path
It
that
is where
you
I
and
learn a
both
lot in networking.
personally and professionally rewarding, fulfilling in a way that it wouldn't have been if you just continued to go to online classes for the next few years. My gosh, that would
Exactly.
have sucked, dude. That would have been horrible. Like you'd have no fulfillment. You'd be like lost. You'd be like, what am I going to do with my life? Like, oof. Yeah. Yeah. So great decision. Sounds
Yeah,
like a
and that
fulfilling one.
in yet that is one of the topic that you talk about in your podcast, in like
Sure.
escape the rat race.
Sure. Sure. Mm-hmm.
Can you
Mm-hmm.
tell us more about why you start the podcast and what is your goal doing it?
Oh, I mean, it's very, that changed over time. When I
Yes.
started it, it was, well, I always say I don't know why I started it. I just did it. And then it became, as I started interviewing people, I thought it was like a big deal to interview a TEDx speaker. I thought it was a big deal.
Yeah.
Anytime. And then first time I interviewed someone with a verified badge, that was a big deal.
Yeah.
So then
Me
then it
also.
became,
I recently have a recording. Sorry to interrupt. I have a recent recording. It's like known in leadership coaching, and I was like amazed. Like, how did this happen? Is it? It's possible.
yeah. So I didn't know why I started it, and then it became a personal image pursuit. Like I'm doing this to raise my own credibility
Yes.
through interviewing other people who had credibility. I even had a term for it at the time. I may have invented it. I may have gotten it from Jordan Harbinger, or it was maybe at least inspired by Jordan Harbinger, a big podcaster who's a real OG. He's been doing it for, I think, well over 10 years, maybe since the beginning of, he might have been doing it in the 2000s, actually. Anyway, borrowed credibility. That's what I was. That's what I was doing. I was borrowing
Yes.
credibility from others. And after 3 years of that, I got pretty sick of that. I started to just see in the industry, like people that I would, and my friends in the industry too. Like we would all talk. Like we'd be like, oh, I got this person. I got that person. Like you're acquiring them as a possession to be had. And I started to get pretty disillusioned with the whole industry, and disgusted is the word that I used. Disgusted with myself, I mean, as to my reasons why I was doing it. And so once that was no longer a reason to do it, because I got grossed out with that, I didn't really have another reason to do it. So it became, and it still is, it became just, do a few podcasts per year. I think I did one or
Yes.
two podcast. I think I did one podcast last year. And when I do a podcast, it's out of, oh, there's like a real authentic reason to do it. Like I want to talk to this person. I want to learn about this, or I want to share this. It's an authentic, wanting to share, as opposed to needing to leapfrog the credibility ladder, climb the credibility ladder, and do it because it makes me look good. So I'm thankful that I was able to identify that and root it out of my system. Um, because I think the tide is turning too. Someone posted something really interesting last night. A friend of mine, actually, my most my most recent podcast, the one that I did last year, he posted. I actually really want to share this. Hold on. It'll take me 1 second to find it. Well, 10 seconds. Yeah, he said 90% of influencers and gurus scammed their way to legitimacy. They paid for podcasts, they paid for followers, they paid for friends, paid for clout. Clout is now an anti-credential. If somebody looks disingenuous, they probably are. And I added to that, I said, don't forget about paying a few grand for a verified badge, which you used to be able to do back in the day. Thankfully, I never did, even though I will admit that I did flirt with the idea of doing that. I came close several times. Really thankful that I didn't do that. I would carry that with me. Oh, I'd probably find a way to forgive myself as you do. But
Yes.
I think to the point of that post, the tides are turning. I think in 2018, 2019, like, you could get away with being disingenuous online. And the disingenuousness is very subtle. Like, I was subtly being disingenuous. It was just in my aura. And it was in the way that I was, the reason why I was doing things, which was it was a self-image pursuit. It was all about me.
Yes.
And people can at least subconsciously notice that. They can tell subconsciously. Some people consciously. Some people can call it out. The really enlightened among us, and now I think the tides are turning where people are, after so many years online and so many years of this being played out on social media and podcasts and all the forms of media that we have now today. After so many years of that playing out, I think it's becoming much more clearer for people to see when someone's being disingenuous, and that becomes literally an anti-credential. Yeah, I thought that was a really good post calling out the shift in the times.
Yeah. And a lot of people right now is, doing things for their own sake. And
Sure.
yes, and there can be a lot of benefits doing podcasting, and there can be a lot of reasons why people doing it. They have a lot of different purposes. Like me, I have a purpose of doing this podcast to learn from other
Yeah.
people, to grow my
Hmm.
network.
Yeah. Well,
Because
it really did that for me. Yeah,
yes,
it's a great way to do it.
yes,
And over a period of years, it compounds.
yes,
You
and
don't even, you might not even realize it. And you're like my mom will say sometimes, she's like, you just like, everyone. And it's like I do because of podcasting.
yes, it's a great way to connect to people and also to share your voice, that you have something to share.
Sure.
And yes, and as as I see, how did you grow your LinkedIn or your branding? Is it through podcasting or you use other ways?
They fed into each other, my LinkedIn and my podcast. And I would post about the podcast, and the social media landscape and what gets likes is very different today than it was in 2018 and 2019 and
Yes.
2020. Very different from the years when I was most active. But yeah, no, I would post written content, medium form content,
Yes.
um, on LinkedIn, and then sometimes, whenever an episode would come out, I would post a video preview of that. That was like the big release, that was the big drop
Yes.
announcing the episode. I loved doing that on a Monday, and then I would maybe drop some other content throughout the week about that episode. And most of the time I podcasted, I was doing once a week. There was a time where I did 3 times a week. It probably lasted about 8 weeks. That was it. I did 2 guests and 1 solo episode, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. But yeah, it was once a week, and that's what I would do. Just drip content throughout the week about it and supplement it with other medium form written content or selfie videos. Even I would just record a 1 minute video.
Yes.
That was a big turning point, and that's one of the things that actually one of the few things that still works today is just a raw selfie video. And I think it works
Yes.
even more today because people are used to this highly edited
AI.
commercial like content, and it's
Yeah.
just so played out. The stimuli is so saturated. People roll their eyes if it's too highly edited. And selfie videos, maybe they're timeless in the world of social media. Certainly they've been timeless so
It's
far
authentic.
through all the through the changes. All the changes. It still works, and I think more than ever. So yeah, that's what my strategy. That's just what I was doing. Yeah.
Yeah, that is your strategy, growing your LinkedIn. So that is what also I am applying right now. I'm just someone told me, if you want to grow on LinkedIn, you have to create content every day, tell your story, and connect with people. Is that your advice also to someone like me and to someone who are starting on LinkedIn?
Yeah. My advice is just get engaged in the community, interact with the community. Very much like talking with someone. You don't want it to be a one-sided conversation. Like, the same way that in interacting with someone, having a conversation with someone, you're not just
Yes,
talking about you the whole time. Well, same thing applies to LinkedIn. You're not just posting
and live.
and yeah. You want to like eh, be thoughtful. And actually read other people's content, actually read it and
Yes,
comment on it. And not just the people that you think you can get something from, not just the people who are in the industry that you want to interact with, like everyone. Just read their stuff. Spend 5 minutes
yes, exactly.
just scrolling through 5 minutes, and actually like contribute to the conversation, not just like great post. You know, sometimes even today I'll be like, haha, man, that's awesome. That's my version of great post in 2025, and that's okay. Like, you're not going to always be able to write a book in response to
Yes,
someone.
exactly.
You don't have to, but yeah, just get engaged, right? Like, comment, sometimes share, message people, post, just move and shake.
Exactly right. Because you cannot just go in the room and shout about your name and leave and
Exactly.
interact.
And that's what it is. Yeah. Yeah. Like, I can think of the archetype of person on LinkedIn who, puts a lot of effort into their content and just doesn't get, it might even be good content and doesn't get really any interaction. Even people like, I don't say this to pick on this person because he's actually an OG of LinkedIn. He put in his time back way before we all put in our time, and I'm talking like almost 20 years ago. Lewis Howes of the School of Greatness, you know him.
Yes, I know him.
Well, today, his LinkedIn content it's not, he's busy, and so it's
Yes,
like,
exactly. He leveraged that.
it's auto posting. He's not going and commenting. He's not like interacting with people
Yes.
on LinkedIn. And so, someone who's even really big, he gets a lot of engagement on LinkedIn, relatively speaking to what he could be, what he gets on maybe Instagram, where, it's different. You don't actually have to do that on Instagram for some reason. You don't have to like engage with other people, I don't think. Like, you can just be popular yourself on Instagram and not engage with other people. LinkedIn's really interesting in that I really do feel to be successful on that platform, you have to be a man of the people. You've got
Exactly.
to engage with people. You've got to be unselfish.
Yes,
Yeah.
and my question right now to you, why is it very important to build your name, your brand? Like someone you build your value, and how does that affect your business right now?
What's the question?
Uh why is it very important to build the brand, to build your name on LinkedIn and starting your business like that?
It might be important and it might not be. It depends on what you're doing. For me right now, it's really not important, and that's why you don't see me
Yes.
podcasting a lot right now. It's why you don't see me um, stamping my name all over LinkedIn in various ways, commenting, liking, sharing, posting. I'm just not really doing that because it's actually not important for me right now. Like
Yes.
I'm in real estate. I invest in real estate. I do projects. I rehab houses. I'm going to be building my first house here very soon.
That is
And
exciting.
yeah, thank you. And it's more important for me to be active in my local community and like I'm out every day. I'm in coffee shops. Like I make new friends every week, and I meet so many people in real estate. It's more important for me to do that than have a personal brand on LinkedIn. Like right now, it just does it is not important at all whatsoever for me. So it depends
It
on what you're
depends.
you're doing.
Yes.
But if you're doing something online, trying to reach a broader community, yeah, I mean, it's your name is your brand. It's your stamp. Your face. Your face is your stamp. Um, and it's just important. Like you want to be known, you want to be seen. Um, yeah.
Yeah. And I saw in your profile in LinkedIn that you do production, podcast production agency. Is
Yeah.
that correct? Yeah.
Yeah. That's
That
an old business. Yeah. I mean, it
yeah.
still exists, but yeah, that's an OG business for me.
Yeah. So I just wanna, can I have like some tips? Because I started in freelancing way back 2 years ago as a video editor, social media manager specialist in podcasters. And right now I I decided to quit job, start my own agency, and help podcasters do their production, the social media
Mhm.
management, stuff like that. Um, and I'm doing this podcast to show them how I can help them with their podcast. Like I'm gonna create this episode. I'm gonna create these assets, media assets and I will share them for them to see how I'm capable of if I am their I am helping them with their podcast. What is your advice for someone like me who's just starting out, building my agency?
I don't know how much advice I have other than just what I did, and which is very specific to the time and place and social media environment that I found myself in 2018, as well as which that is the frame of the situation. It
Yes,
really is dependent on the framing here, um, as I think a lot of life is. Framing is essential, but yeah, for me it was just doing the thing and people noticing that I was really, really good at it. And podcasts were not as popular at that time. They've only gained popularity. So again, that contributes to the time and place that I found myself in. It was just doing it, people noticing I was good at it and actually asking for it in my LinkedIn DMs. People would ask me questions. Some people straight up wanted to be my client in my DMs. Like I've had many closed deals right in my direct messages, and that's what it was. It was just pretty organic. It was what the people wanted from me. Is what they told me they
yes,
wanted, and so I created a business around it, and so it was pretty organic. It's pretty
yeah,
natural, and that's what it was. Yeah,
yes. I think it's just keep showing up and show them what
just
you're capable of.
be really good at what you do and have people see it.
Yes, and be authentic.
And I
And
was
I
also like, I was connecting with a lot of podcasters on LinkedIn too. I have thousands of podcasters in my network. I would just connect with them all the time. Just
yes,
like look up podcaster or podcast host, and I would just connect with a bunch of them.
yes, interact with
And so,
them.
Yeah,
create contents
exactly.
for them.
Exactly. So you're reverse engineering who sees you and who sees your content. Like that's the cool thing about LinkedIn is when you can have someone force someone to follow you by like just connecting with them. Oh,
Yeah.
we're a connection. That means you're going to see my stuff now.
Yes.
So I would just do that. I would get in front of I would reverse engineer my audience again and make sure that I'm at least being seen by the people who I want to see my stuff.
Yes, and that is a good thing because I am just starting out on LinkedIn. Like I will have an account on LinkedIn like 2 years ago, but I only have like 200 connections. And 2 weeks ago, I started posting every day as I decided to start my agency, grow my brand, my
Hmm.
podcast, and it's a good thing because already have like right now like 500 plus connections, and most of them
Great.
are like I genuinely connect to them,
Exactly.
and that's a good thing. Is sometimes you don't need a lot
Mhm.
of connections, but if you have super specific audience, like if you are into podcasting, you have to have a network of podcasters, and you can just get clients like 5 to 10 clients like that. I'm thinking like that. And it's good that in LinkedIn you can filter who you can connect with. You can create contents for them, for the people who are you are connect with. You can interact for the people that you are
Yeah.
with.
Yeah. And you just like be a good person that people like to hang around
Yes,
with them. Like,
exactly.
yeah, like and that's really easy to do. It's like everyone loves a smiley, happy person that doesn't talk about themselves all the time. Like
Yes.
it's actually not that hard.
Yeah, you just keep showing up and you just be authentic,
Yeah.
enthusiastic, and just show who you really are and show them
Yeah.
that I am here. I have a service I can offer. If you want me, my service, I can help you. If you not, it's okay. If someone wants my service, you can share it with me like that. Sometimes you don't need to force your offer, your service to someone because
Yeah, it's not
things
a good thing to
happen
do.
on. I believe things happen naturally and effortlessly if you don't force things.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it all lies in need versus want. If you need something, it's a negative aura, and needing is negative aura around needing anything. Wanting is positivity. Like I'm here because I want to be here. I'm not here because I need to be here. If you're here because you need to be here, you're just not going to get that far. Like like you've got to go about it in a free spirited, I want to be here, I'm happy to be here type of way.
Yes, you just have to be happy with what you are doing, and people will feel that, and people will feel
Yeah,
that I want to work with this person, with this guy. He's very kind. He's very easy to
yeah,
work with, like that.
yeah, yeah,
And yeah, that is the
exactly.
reason also why I didn't want to do corporate work or work outside, because I want to live where, or I want to work where I am happy. I have a freedom of what I want to do. That is what you talk about in your podcast. Am I right? Can you
Hmm.
give me one piece of advice? Why is the niche you choose before?
What's that?
The piece of advice, why I forget about that. Why is that the niche that you choose before in your
Podcasting?
podcast? Yes, yes.
Oh, why did I choose to talk about that? Yeah, I chose it because it's really been the through line, the theme of my whole adult life. When I was 17 years old and was ignited by Tony Robbins' Awaken the Giant Within book, that was very crystal clear, the moment, truly the moment. I remember the moment when my mind turned on. It's almost like it really is almost like when you're 4 years old and you start remembering things. Like your earliest memories are probably when you're 4 years old. Um, it was like that, where 17 years old, there's a big uptick in memories. Big uptick. Like, I don't really remember much when I was 16, 15, 14. No, like 17 was big. 17 was like, that's pretty like pivotal in my pretty core memories. Literally remember, I have a picture in my head of the moment, like the light bulb turned on. I was in my
Yes.
room reading this book. I was probably on like page 40 or something. So in the early days of it, and I started to see enough to get pretty serious about, like, okay, yeah, like I'm going to commit to finishing this. So I like wrote on a piece of note paper, because it's a really big book. It was like pages 40 through 48 this day, day 2, these pages, and I just like did it like 8
Yes.
to 10 pages per day. And I finished the book in probably, I don't know, 50 days or something like that. And from that point on, I started to very consciously start to live more intentionally and actually design the life that I wanted. First, it was thinking about the life that I wanted, and then it was actually going about and taking the actions step by step, literally step by step, to start building in the direction that I wanted to build in, and design the life that I had envisioned in my head. So
Yes.
that's where the title Building Freedom came from. And because that was when I envisioned in my head my life. It was a lot of it, even back then. I wasn't thinking about the word freedom then, but when I think back on it today, yes, it was. I recognize a lot of it was about freedom, and the 5 freedoms that Dan Sullivan of Who Not How talks about, and a lot of other books. But and I'm not going to get them all, but freedom of relationship, freedom of location, right? Being able to
Yes.
go wherever you want to go and do what you want to do, and freedom of, of course, financial freedom, time freedom, and anyway, yeah, like I said, I wasn't going to get all 5, but that's what I optimize for, even still today, and I said it to somebody yesterday, is I optimize for quality of life over dollars in my bank account. I could always make more money. I've always, I've regularly sacrificed making more money in protection of the life that I enjoy living. That's always priority number 1, is to live a life that I enjoy, as opposed to just, having a bottomless filling of this, a bottomless pit filled with money. So, I'm very, very conscious of like enough, of when, how much is enough. And I don't think about it as a number. I just think of it as enough to do the things that you enjoy doing, enough to, buy what you want at the grocery store, enough to be able to do the things you want to do, enough to be able to take care of yourself, right? Enough to be generous with
Yes.
as well, enough to be able to treat your friends and family, enough to just enough. Like, and it's a
Yes.
lot less than a lot of people think. It's a lot less money than a lot of people think. Like, I always say, if you're not happy with X amount of dollars, whatever it is, think of some high number. If you're not happy with that, you're not going to be happy with 10x that. Like, you're just
Yes.
not.
Exactly.
Yeah. If you're not happy, I'll put it to you this way. If you're not happy on $100,000 per year, speaking for my US people, and it's different in the Philippines, but
Yes.
if you're
Different.
not happy on 100 grand per year, you're definitely not going to be happy on $1 million per year. 100% not going to be happy. 100%. No shot. Like 0% chance. Unless you do some serious internal reflection and work on yourself and have some realizations in the meantime. You go on a real spiritual journey. So that's why.
Yes. Yes. Thank you so much for that. And I really appreciate your time. I have a question. How do you end your conversation in your podcast? It's something I'm struggling it. I need an advice.
Mm, mm.
Because sometimes
Well,
the conversation, it looks really good, and you
Yeah.
just don't
Yeah.
want
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
stop it like that. How do you
Absolutely.
end it?
Absolutely. Well, I'll start with how I start it. I always just like to know where I'm going first, because if you don't know where you're going first, you don't know what you're going to talk about first or what question you're going to ask first. I like to just have it's stressful. It's overwhelming, like going into it. Like, where are we going to go? Like, what are we, no, like you don't have to have the whole interview planned out. Just know, like have an easy layup of a question, easy, like a basketball layup, just putting it right in, dropping it right in the basket, an easy shot, easy layup of a question to start out, and things will get going from there. You don't have to worry about much
Yes,
else really. Now, how to end it? It's a feeling of you'll know when to end it, and it's like on that note. When people say on that note, what precedes that, what comes before that is when people say that, it's a recognizing of, yeah, this is a good spot to end it. Like it's a good note to end it on. You're just finding a good note to end it on. That's really what it is, and you feel that, you get a sense for that, and then you just, the way I would do it is I ask my final question, which I think for many years was when the title of the podcast was Growth Mindset University, because that's also the other through line of my life is is growth mindset. My gosh, I didn't realize how on I was with that name. I mean, it's, of all my writings, it's just always, it's somehow or another, you can always track it back to growth mindset. My life is about evolution and growth. Um,
exactly.
it's really, it is the one singular most it's, I don't know what to call it, but you get what
It's
I'm saying.
fast.
So
It's
my final question then was like, it was, what are the, because it was a podcast all about learning the lessons you should have learned in school but didn't. See, I still have that
yes,
come pretty quick off the tongue. I still got it. And it was like, if you could teach, it was something about like, if there's any one thing you could like, I don't really remember actually what the final question was, but I had a set final question. I knew the note to end it on, and then I would ask my final question.
yeah.
Um,
My final
yeah,
question is like, if people want to know more about you, where they can find you, like that.
yeah, but that doesn't really count. Like that's, well, actually, it does. I still, yeah. I mean, there's a really good podcast today. It's called Modern Wisdom. Really good podcast, and that's how he ends it. I still think. I really think, though. I still, yeah. I'm standing by my statement. That doesn't count. Even with a podcast of that caliber that does it. I think a set final question that you ask everyone, besides where can people find you, is a great thing to have. Yeah, for so many reasons. I think it's a cool measuring stick almost, to like compare to every guest has answered this question, which after 100 guests becomes a kind of a cool thing. You can kind of like you have a collection of answers to this one question, which is kind of cool and gives you data actually as well. Anyway, yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much for that. And that is my question to you right now. I know you are not mostly active on social media, but if people want to know more about you, where
Oh,
they
I'm
can reach
I'm
out.
I'm not. There's no unhappiness over here. There's really no unhappiness. Make no mistake. What was
Yes,
the
where they
question?
can. Yeah, so if people
Oh,
want to
oh,
know more
oh.
about you.
Sure. Yeah. No, I'm not super active, but um, yeah. No, if you listen to this and want to connect with me, then the best way to do it is, I get a million connection requests on LinkedIn, but I'll actually like accept it and say something back to you if you include a little note with it.
Yeah.
So that's the way to do it. Jordan Paris on LinkedIn.
Okay. All right, people. Thank you so much for your time. And Jordan, I really appreciate your time and you're sharing with us today. If you watch this episode, I hope you have a great day and God bless you. See you to the next
That's right.
episode.
God bless you. Yeah, that's a good way to end it.